Probably our best one, even though I don't know if Piper was ready.
Corey, Piper, and Joe with you here today. Late July. I'd like to go ahead and thank our sponsors, all 9 of you. If you're wanting to reach upwards of 40 people, please let us know. I mean, honestly, get a graphic on our placeholder thing. We'd mention you. It'd be worth it.
On a t-shirt?
Eventually. No, just on like the little video card that I make for the heading for each video on YouTube.
Oh, you mean on the videos? I thought you meant for our comps. I was like,
Oh, no.
what?
No, you can sponsor our comps too. That'd be cool.
Sponsor all of us.
So the last video that actually went live last night, but was recorded 2 to 3 weeks ago.
It was before the gauntlet?
Yeah. Finally went up. We talked about fitness outside of the gym, making sure that you're using it, that it actually does build better fitness and better intentionality in here. You have more of a reason for why you're in here, because after, kind of cresting health and being towards wellness, it can get, why am I doing this? And so having an identity for your fitness outside of the gym can help keep you pushing and pushing that needle further away from sickness. Again, the further we get away from sickness, the better. It can seem like it can seem like too much to somebody on the outside, but eventually there's a call for it. There's always some time where it gets called, or you start to lose it, or a rainy day happens, and God forbid you get hit by a car. Like, all that fitness, all that muscle and health that you built is now a hedge against you dying from that car wreck.
Like, I feel like right now where I'm at in my fitnessing career, if a semi-truck were to hit me, like, all I'm saying is I feel sorry for that truck, man.
Yeah.
I've accumulated this much mass.
I think I'd be on the highway.
Yeah. I think the semi-truck would win, but hey,
debatable.
They'd tie the cross with the stuffed animals and stuff.
Oh man, you'd have a little shrine. That'd be a rough day.
So in there, one of the things we talked about is how strength cycles can get boring because we run them for 8 weeks. We were kind of improvising through the video on ways that we can still run cycles and it still be a little more fun, and we'll work on that. But this week, if this video manages to upload, tonight we'll be starting our test out of our last cycle.
Next week.
So we had 6 focus points, 3 gymnastics, weighted chin up, max height box jump, and max strict handstand push-ups.
Those handstand push-ups got pretty gnarly towards the end.
And then we had strength with deadlifts, front squat, and bench press. So we'll be testing all 6 of those throughout the next 5 days. Excited to see the numbers. This is the second time we ran this cycle. First time we ran it, huge PRs. This year we ran it after the Metcon. We still expect some PRs, but maybe not lifetime PRs, because running strength under fatigue, you're going to be weaker. That's kind of why we switch it up. And then after that,
are we still one repping after?
Yeah, we'll be one repping after.
There you go. Someone asked me, and I was like, I don't know. It's like, I would imagine.
I thought about changing it, but we've conditioned your body to lift warm. I don't want you to be cold.
Yeah.
And lift based off those numbers.
And
so.
I don't know, some people are like, well, I'm not going to hit big numbers. Dude,
It's not always, again, it's not
always about the big numbers.
It's not about the number, it's that you can now do it under fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and people look at their PRs as like a hard number, like a line in the sand of
did I get better?
My PR bench press will say is 225. And it's like, all right, man, if you hit 215 after a gnarly Metcon, you're stronger. Just chill.
Yeah.
And again, it's valuable. We were talking about moving. Cool, you got 800 deadlift, but you can't pick up this couch and wiggle around the stairs.
Right, and go down
and
the
then
stairs.
go out and load it in the truck without taking 3 breaks.
Right, you need to be strong
down the
and
stairs.
useful.
Yeah.
You can't be one without.
And I will say that, this is the first time we tried it really in the summer. Strength after the Metcon works better in the winter. It does.
But I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Again, this is functionality. Like it's not always going to be a nice climate controlled environment that you're doing things in. So sorry, kind of.
That durability, that semi-truck survival, you know?
Just saying.
We're prepping you to pick up a cactus in the desert
And throw it at a semi.
and throw it at a semi-truck. Basically, you're going to fight Optimus Prime in Nevada.
I
So.
like that. I'm about that.
So for our deload weeks, one, I would say if you are going to class and that's all you're doing, deload's not necessary. I don't care whether your gym runs cycles or not. If you're following close to a recommended CrossFit schedule of 3-1-2-1, you don't need a deload week. And so how do I justify that with the fact that we're going into a deload week? For us, a deload week just means we're not intentionally doing strength. You will find that our metcons are going to be longer.
Still got strength in them.
And honestly, a lot of times we see more fatigue from that because now it's only one piece. So you're not holding anything back.
You're going 110%.
Which is the one, and again, I haven't found a way to fix this, but that's the one thing that if I could change our programming and still have 100% buy-in, we would do a lot less 2 stimulus days.
Yeah.
Not none,
Less.
but would be less. But this is what works for us. This is what brought you to the dance. I'm gonna stay dancing with you. But you don't need a deload if you're a 1 hour a day, 5 day-ish a week CrossFitter. You just don't. So when you hear us say deload, again, when we say it, it simply means we're not having intentional strength that week as part of a linear progression.
Which is good because, like I said, now we can focus 100% on the one task at hand.
I think you see a lot of people during the cycle as well. Maybe we're lifting 85% that day. They feel really good. So I don't know. I feel like I see more people. I see a lot of people PR on like PR day, obviously, because that's how that works. It's what the Metcon is designed to do. But I also see people like for me, I PR'd my deadlift halfway through a cycle. So I was like, I just feel really light.
It was Friday this week. There was a group of guys just kind of bro lifting together with the deadlifts. We weren't following what we had written up on the board at all. It was Thursday. I think it was Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, Friday.
Because Friday we didn't have deadlifts. And so I was closing up and I was getting ready to leave and go home, and they're just kind of lifting. And I think I heard 2 of them just like, "That was a PR." I'm like, well, that wasn't really the point today, but I mean, they had fun, right? And so now they're probably not going to PR this week. That's how central nervous system works. But they got their PR and they were happy.
Yeah, that's
Use strength when you have it, and I've told people, hey man, if it feels great,
keep going, man.
keep going.
Keep going.
If it feels bad, realize that while we use a linear progression, your strength isn't linear because I'm not controlling 95% of your day.
And I would say that's what I kind of caution people about on these PR week or these 1 rep max weeks is like, if we have deadlifts, I think we have deadlifts Friday?
I don't know.
It's like Thursday or Friday, but we have front squats before it, and know that like if you PR your front squat,
You will probably not PR your deadlift.
yeah, and you don't PR your deadlift, that's okay. Like that's kind of how your body works.
And I thought
Especially
about
if
breaking this up or maybe just having like a total on Saturday where like, hey guys, don't even do the lifts during the week. Do the gymnastics stuff. If you can come in on Saturday, then we'll have an 1.5-hour window
to just lift.
to where we just lift. And we're going to hit 30 minutes. But then my hedge on that is also, 1, that doesn't fit the cycle, doesn't fit what we've done. And 2, 3 max lifts is a lot. It is a workout. It is in CrossFit. It's CrossFit total, not exactly this specific total. And it's in 15-minute windows. But those most of the time also aren't going to give you true PR numbers.
No.
It's going to give you a true CrossFit total PR, but not an individual lift PR.
I say maybe you PR 1 lift, and that's maybe.
And the other 2 are within 90%.
Yeah.
And look, like whenever I'm lifting, which is rarely these days, if I'm getting close to my 1 rep, like I'm happy. And I think we've talked about it before, like I'm getting older. If I can get close or right at my PR, even though I'm, a year older, 100,000 more miles on me, that's a win.
So this is interesting because, and it goes with what we've talked about, right?
It's a lot of miles.
That all the studies say that your strength declines, but the studies aren't right.
Right.
So then to put that against what you just said is that you expect your strength to go down. I think, and not saying you're wrong, right? There's all different things, but I don't think that your age.
I don't think, when I said I didn't want to say my strength
I think
goes
you
down.
can almost always, as long as you are constantly following a training program, not constantly training, as long as you are training, I don't know when the last day that you can expect to hit a PR is, but I know it's a lot later than you think.
And that, like we've talked about it, there's really no studies on strength training. Like if you dive into it, like strength training is...
Yeah, they did all those studies on cardiovascular people.
Yeah, they did it all on like marathon runners or triathletes. So like if you dive into it, strength training is a relatively new thing.
Even then, the fastest runners in the world are like 40. Most of the people that I know who run
Still
are in
hope
their
for me.
high 30s.
Can't wait to do.
Well, I think the other thing you
marathons.
see is as you get older, you see more and more specialists, I think.
That is
Yeah.
fair.
So
People have been doing
like
it
this
since they were
idea that you're losing strength, like
9.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying my numbers aren't going down. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because and I've said it before, the amount of, we'll say effort, I don't want to say effort, the amount of time I spend on strength training is pretty low.
Well, and again, the case study for CrossFit, right? Like, you don't have to do strength to get stronger. And that's the same thing I just said. If I could
Hold
change
on.
one thing.
You're telling me that if I don't do deadlifts every single day, all day, every day, I can still get stronger at deadlift?
Yep.
This is nonsense.
And again, the last video that was posted, stronger anywhere is stronger somewhere. And that's even like, again, our Metcons, you may not look at it as strength, but it's the application of force. Gymnastics is building strength. Like, and honestly, probably a lot better than some of the times I've seen seen people deadlift, right? Because you don't have every muscle turned on. When you're hanging from something, generally for the most part, you're going to have more turned on. You're going to stay more rigid, and that's a generalization. But what I went back to is just like, yeah, it'd be great if we didn't run full out strength cycles like that, had less 2 stimulus days, and people would really believe that you can get stronger. And CrossFit's been doing this for 15 years now. They have plenty of evidence that you don't need to run a strength cycle to get stronger. I haven't figured out how to solve that, what to do going forward, but I do think there's plenty of evidence for random lifts, right? And it's variance, not random. There's podcasts out that talks about that same idea. But you don't have to run Windler's 5-3-1 to be stronger.
Yeah. Oh, and like we talk about strength and we're getting dialed into strength, but just to be fitter and better at CrossFit, which, like I've told anyone that'll listen to me, like the other day, someone was asking me like, "Oh, do you want to partner up and do the lift after the Metcon?" And I said, "No, I'm a one workout kind of guy. Like I have not, and you've been almost every class I coached. I haven't jumped in on any of the strength because I haven't been a part of the cycle. So I was like, well, I'm not going to get in on it now.
Yeah.
And I still feel like I can hold my own in here from one thing a day. I don't know. I'll fight you.
And I think contrast that with also what we said, but if you're competitive, right? Honestly, if you, and I'm not in great shape right now, but when I was, and I'm a volume guy, everybody knows that. I try to still maintain intensity, but I like volume. Somebody that's working out once or 3 to 5 days a week is always going to beat me on one piece, because they're working from a fuller cup. But for my goals, competitions, I need to be able to handle 2 to 3 workouts. Recovery is very important to me, and that's also, genetic test, blah, blah, blah. It's also where I thrive at, is quick recovery, quick turnaround, getting back up to full or as close as I started with, very, very easily. So yeah, you're doing 1 a day right now, but theoretically when it came for a competition, of course we did Saturday and you and Lex still destroyed everybody. But somebody else that was actually training, with intensity and hard 3 pieces a day, right? That's when they're going to start to give you a run for the money.
Yeah.
The single efforts, right? And I think Mike Halliburton is a great example of that. Like when he's healthy, he does the 1 a day, and he'll come in and he'll do really well.
Yeah.
But if we had 2 or 3 more pieces,
Well, you start to see him kind of fall off on the tail.
start to see the chinks in his training methodology for that aim.
Yeah.
And that's not his aim. And when he was doing monster games, he started doing more pieces. He realizes that he's not dumb.
And and we've covered this before, like that tracks. And if I were to sign up for a comp, I know that I would have to probably add at least a second session in. With that being said, I have we'll say, flexibility in my schedule that I could do my morning piece and go balls to the wall.
Yeah.
High intensity, give it my everything, and then I've got time in the day where I can rest and recover and chill, and then come back in the evening to hit that second piece. Where I see the problems is when you're doing 3 or 4 pieces back to back, without any recovery, without any food or time, and you're sacrificing, I'm only going to go 50% because I know I have 6 more pieces. That's fine sometimes. But if you do that every single day, every single session, like that's where you run into trouble.
Again, each person's different. Each aim is different. Like I said, right, I literally know you can look at just slow twitch versus fast twitch muscle fibers, right? Fast twitch is going to give you high power output. You're going to utilize almost everything that you've gotten built up in there, right? Slow twitch is going to allow your body to recover quicker. You're not going to have the high ceiling. So even though I don't look like I'm sprinting, my ceiling, right, with being mostly slow twitch is a lot lower. I have a lower power output, but my turnaround is quicker. And I think it could look like I'm not giving intensity, but that's just not where I thrive. And now we can build fast twitch and a little bit more and make them more efficient. And you can do that by, honestly, and I hate this, but going 110%. You know what your sustainable pace is.
I know.
And you go past it.
Right.
Right? You go past intentionally your sustainable pace. You go into the death zone. You go into zone 5.
Right.
And you hold it for as long as you can.
Oh, I think we've
about
all
that.
said that. I think we've all been like, hey man, like if today's the day, like send it and see what happens.
Yeah, because that's the only way you're going to develop the fast twitch.
Yeah.
And make them more efficient. I just think that like we and you and I both get in that habit of just like, well, this is what training works for us. I don't see why the other person's not doing it that way. We can see flaws in people's technique, and what I would simply say is if you're always doing the same thing, you're missing the opportunity to improve something else. If you are a person that works 3-4 pieces in a row, at least one day a week, intentionally don't do that.
Yeah, like red line yourself.
Find a different way to train, because in a test, you're not going to get to control that. If you always come in and change the music, right, to something that you really want, and you're a competitive athlete, you better stop doing that. You don't get to control the music.
You start throwing Dolly Parton on when
You may not even hear it, right? And something like that can throw your whole game off. We've gotten way off the deload topic.
We have.
And we've focused on strength. So, and we've talked about how do you know that you need a deload, blah, 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 blah. It's not fun. I've said this many times. It's Triple H question for me: happy, hungry, horny. If I'm not 2 of the 3, we got a problem. So you have to have a checklist on something like that. If you're not excited to come in here, using the term excited as generously as I can for what we do, right? Then you probably need a deload. How long should your deload be? I don't know. Talk to a coach.
When are you excited? When you wake up and you want to go back to the gym? And I talked to someone right after the aggregate. I don't remember who it was. I want to say it was Cody. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him after every comp I've ever done, there's always been, everyone's like, oh, well, why aren't you resting? Don't you need a deload? And I'm like, no, because I feel motivated. I feel good. I'm excited to get in the gym and train. Now, usually I notice after about a week or two and that like competition high wears off, I do start finding like lack of motivation, feeling a little bit tired and sluggish in my training. The weights are feeling heavier, and then I do need to deload. But really, like, there's no specific rule on when you have to until you feel like you need to.
Yeah.
If that makes sense at all.
And I think, to at least summarize from where I come from, there's no real reason for a daily CrossFitter for that. If I'm programming for a CrossFit gym, daily CrossFit class, there's no real reason to ever program a deload week. An off strength week, again, we're arguing semantics. I'm telling you we're going into a deload the week after this, but it's not really a deload.
It's like
it's a strength free week.
It's like a bye week. Like
Yeah.
You get a little break from your lifting.
But we're still we're gonna be in here working out. We're not cutting down volume or intensity, and I think that's where what we're really talking about with deload is what we mean is like being out of the gym or cutting your intensity in half and doing walkthroughs. You as an individual may need that. CrossFit, I don't think ever needs to program that, with the exception of competitive CrossFit, because the volume is so high. And because the people that do competitive CrossFit are also volume addicts and intensity addicts. And as the programmer, as the coach, you have to know when to back them off. And generally that's 6 to 8 weeks. Yep. The other thing about that is, and it's balanced with competition training, but any programming you're going to buy is going to be written with respect to our calendar year, which is more or less defined at this point. There are times to be strong, there are times to be fast, there are times to be nimble, and any overview is going to work through that. And if you're an open athlete, peaking in March, if you're a semifinal athlete, peaking in April, and if you're a games athlete, peaking in August, and your whole calendar is written around that, and they run mesocycles around that. So you could look at it as deload, but it's also just shifting focus, because we're not just power lifters, right? We don't have 4 things. We've got 40 things we have to be good at. So our deloads are kind of built in because of how many things we have to be good at. And then you just have to look at breaking the volume, again, if you're a competitive athlete. Yeah. But the people that are listening to this, you individually may need one because of your work life, stress balance, 100%. Your eating, or all that stuff outside that we may not know or we can't control. But and so you may need 3 days off, a week off, doing some healthy things, doing some low impact or, token bodybuilding stuff. But just in general, I'm going to sum up and end and say you don't need to deload if you're watching this. You don't need a scheduled deload. You need to be in tune with your body and talking with your coach.
Yeah, you gotta. I would agree with that, and that's just being aware of how you're feeling. Again, if you're in here and you're starting to feel, like I said, unmotivated, you're not excited to come in here, then we need to look at a break, because it's only without a break, it's just gonna keep getting worse. What are your thoughts? Do you disagree? Piper disagrees. I can see it.
I gotta be honest, like before I started CrossFit, deload meant something completely different to me. Competitions were maybe a weekend, and that was the only time my volume was ever low. So like 10 months out of the year, Monday through Saturday, it was like 4 2-a-days a week, and then like 2 single sessions, with the Saturday session being 2.5 hours instead of 1.5. Dude, it was brutal. So that was just like all the time. And then I remember I came in here and you're like, yeah, we're cutting back now. And I was like, we're like not trying to lift the same amount as last time. And I don't know. I just feel like it's very interesting to me. I don't know if it makes me feel better or worse, especially since the time frame that we deload for is so long. Like we deload the week to then PR for that next week. Sometimes I feel really weak.
That's interesting. So we used to have a reduced percentage lift the week before we'd max. We haven't had that recently.
Yeah.
Because last week we were hitting 90%, and this week we're testing.
Oh yeah.
So there, and essentially, and to get into terminology, that's a taper. not deload. So that's taking a little bit off, so everything feels completely fresh for the test.
Taper.
Yeah, I mean, it's a subtle but important kind of little difference, and I think when you're a competitive athlete, you're going to have the taper. I think one thing that always frustrates me is that no matter when I decide to get remotivated by training, I'll start and I'll follow Mayhem competitive, and it's like that week is the week they decide to deload, and I'm like, because they'll have their deload set for like 8 weeks, and I'll make it maybe 6 to 7 weeks, and I'm like, I can't make it. I need a deload. My body needs a deload, and so then I'll deload. Then I feel great, and I go back to it, and I open up Monday, and it's like, hey guys, it's deload week, and I'm like, oh. And now I got to take 2, and I'm just freaking angry. And I'm smart enough to figure out how to do it, and honestly, it's never going to hurt me to just take an extra deload. Like again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So if you start on a week where maybe it's just feels a little easy, it could be a deload. It could just be that everything's sinking for you that week. I know a lot of, well, not a lot, but there was some posts on the Mayhem affiliate board this week, and they're like, did I get fitter this week? Or were the time domains wrong? Or all that other stuff. And sometimes I'll look and I'll just be like, okay, this post is right. They clearly changed the time domains. But for the most part, I still thought people were finishing right where they normally do on all of our workouts. We still had people getting capped. And so after looking at that, I kind of just came to the conclusion, like, it was a really good week for that person.
Yeah.
They had lined up the previous week, went well. Maybe they didn't have a work project. Maybe these workouts were just really good for them. Honestly, maybe the weather gave them a little bit of a break, and instead of it being 98, it was 87, right?
Maybe their gym has AC.
Yeah.
Lame.
Spoiled babies. So things like that. I take the good weeks when you have them. If you're having an off week, kind of consider whether or not you need a deload, or maybe you just need more water and food.
Yeah, more sleep.
More sleep. Look at all those variables. It may not always mean a deload. Maybe it means one of your inputs is wrong, and that you need to change that. So, I don't know. Hopefully that was valuable. Any last closing thoughts?
Talk to us, man. Let us know.
Let us know. Got Victory Games registration going live a week from Monday, so 8 days from now. We hope to see you out here. We would love to get 48 teams. We run lanes of 6 or heats of 6 for the most part. So that comes out 48 to 54 teams is kind of really what we're looking for.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Share the video. If you want to sponsor the video or us or the comp.
We'll probably make a deal with you, even though we've got a lot of sponsors reaching out right now.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it.
Our inbox is full of spam. So, yeah. Have a great week. Hopefully you get some PRs. Remember to record them, post them on social media.
Well, is this deload week?
No, so this is the test week.
Okay, so straight from 90% to test.
Yep.
Okay, no
So,
deload.
there was no taper or deload. They've kind of removed them. We did it like the first year, and then they've kind of been missing. Our next cycle will be Olympic lifting, but it's actually going to be a little bit of a mix.
I haven't looked at it.
It's like 2 days of Olympic, and then it's one typical power lift.
But it's varied.
And it'll be 2 rep max, and then it'll be a 4 rep max of a different movement. I like that because I think we're going to have some variability, and I'm still tweaking some of the things in the cycle to make sure we get a good balanced day and we can coach, and because it is Olympic lifting, so
we want to get you guys some feedback.
Yep.
Ollie lifting.
Yep. All right, like, subscribe. See you in the gym this week. Get some sleep, eat some food, drink some water.
I'm not going to do any of that.